Butcher's Fancy, the Butcher's March, or the Bogs of Allen. Once again, a tune with multiple names, but I'm going to go with the Butcher's Fancy. I checked out a bunch of recordings. Joe Duran calls it that. Alton call it that. Cochley Nigown. So they're fairly good sources as far as I'm concerned. So the Butcher's Fancy, it's 2-part jig. It's in the key of G, although the second half definitely leans into an A minor flavor. We're going to do it on the Irish mandolin. Fair warning, yesterday I changed the strings on this for the first time in 10 years. One string had changed, and that was the one that was looped around because I hadn't got around to cutting it. But the other ones were literally on for 10 years. They weren't in bad shape for 10 years. So these are brand new. Diodario, Phosphor, Bronze, Bright. They're lovely, but the tuning is going to take a little bit of time. So I've stretched them as much as I can. So just fair warning. So we're going to learn this tune. It's very simple. I'm going to show you how to do ornamentation on an Irish mandolin, triplets, and we'll add in some chords and double stops as well. So here's the full version of the tune with all the fun stuff, and then we'll add in all the bits as we go along, the building blocks, so to speak. A word about ornamentation on mandolin. The way that I approach it and I notate it, this is a jig, and jigs are in 6/8, so there are 6 eighth notes in every bar. Now, for my money, a triplet is 3 notes in the space of 2, and that's how I notate it. You'll see 3 little notes with a little loop over it in the number 3. So, the triplets are always played down, up, down. This is for consistency, and it keeps you on a downward leaning picking pattern, which in Irish music is definitely helpful, down on the first beat of the bar. Jigs are very forgiving of picking patterns, so down on the first beat of the bar and down on the first note of the triplet, down, up, down. And then the note after triplet is always going to be a down because of where it is lying in the tune. There are 2 ways to approach triplets, because where it comes in a set of 3 notes, this is going to sound confusing. I'm confusing myself. Let's say a bar of a jig is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's just deal with the first 3 notes first. The triplet is either going to be on the first 2 notes or the second 2 notes. So in that essence, it's going to be either 1, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 1. The 1, 2, 3 being the triplet. So it'll either be down, up, down, down, or it'll be down, down, up, down. Here's the very first bar of this jig. So let's put a triplet on the very first note. That's doing it 1, 1, 2, 3. And the other way is to do it 1, 2, 3, 1. Two different types of vibe. The 1, 2, 3, 1 is going to feel more rushed or with more expediency to it, and the other one is going to feel more legato, more laid back, because it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. So if you're going for a very swingy jig rhythm, 1, 1, 2, 3 is going to achieve that for you. Whereas if you're going for a very excited, rushed, pushed forward, forward-leaning rhythm, then putting the triplet first will achieve that. There's triplets, 1, 2, 3, 1, or 1, 1, 2, 3. So here's the jig with just single note triplets. There's 2 ways of doing triplets on the mandolin and on the banjo. Well, there's 3 ways. Clean single notes. You can dampen 2 of the notes to make a kind of a stuttered sounding triplet. Essentially what's happening is of the 3 notes of the triplet, we're dampening the first 2. And that just, again, that creates a sense of urgency, I think, in the tune. And the third way to approach a triplet is, rather than it being a single note, is a series of notes. So a good example of using a 3-note triplet is later in that first part. So just bear with me. This bit. The notes are... and we're going to put a triplet on that first high F on that top note. So it's a 3-note triplet. You could put a 1-note triplet in there. All right, which is just changing the tune ever so slightly. But for this, we're doing a run up to that high A. So the 3 different types of triplet, once again: clean, stuttered, and a 3-note. And of course, you can do a stuttered 3-note. I think for mandolin, leaning more toward the clean triplets just brings a cleaner overall tone to the instrument. There's quite a lot going on already with the double strings and the pick sound, so I think cleaner triplets are probably better. So here is the tune just with single note triplets so that you can hear the difference. In actual fact, I'll play the tune twice over. First time, single note triplets. As much as possible, do them all cleanly. And then the second time, I'm going to bring in more of the 3-note triplets. So what you might have noticed is that the 3-note run triplets offer an awful lot more opportunity to run into and out of the corners of tunes. I know what that means. I don't know if you do. The second part of that tune is very repetitious when played just normally. It's quite difficult to shoehorn in a single note triplet because the tune is moving. the 3-note triplets, they run into the notes. If you have a better way of describing that in words, please drop it into the comments. I know what I'm trying to say, but I feel like I'm not describing it very well. But it's about coming at the corners of the tunes in a roundabout way, kind of running up and running down. And now words are beginning to fail me. Here's a simpler version of the tune, just so that you can learn the melody. Let's talk a little bit about chords and harmony. Key is G. But as we said, that second half leans into an A minor. Or it's probably an A modal. It's definitely not an A major, because if you put a C sharp in there, it sounds like it really stands out. Now that is a technique all on its own that I do like, which is to throw in a big C sharp into the middle of it. But that's a very brash kind of way of looking at the tune. Just a bit of fun. But for the purposes of this, first part is in G, because mandolin, there's a lovely open G on the bottom. When you go to make the D chord, you have open D or F sharp. And let's just play through it nice and slow. You'll keep it fairly simple. I think the biggest thing that jumps out is that in the second part, when we go into that A modal, there is the opportunity to play the low G, but you need to close it off when you go back into the A chord. Or else it rings through that A section and it sounds a little bit funny. So just clamping the thumb on very lightly to kill off that G string. That's a lovely part of the tune to my ear. We're playing an F sharp as that D chord, but I'm really holding it on and letting it resonate until it's resolved. All right, so there's a little bit of work needed so that when your index and ring finger are working on the A string, that F sharp note is high enough, the finger is high enough to resonate. and allow you to play the other notes and then resolve it. So here's the tune with a little bit of pace, a bit of chords, a little bit of ornamentation, and maybe some variation. We'll see what happens. There you go, the Butcher's Fancy, the Butcher's March, and the Bogs of Allen. Seems like a very unrelated title. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on the Irish mandolin. If you did, please subscribe, like, and leave me a comment. And if you want all of the notation, transcribed, PDFs, the whole lot, head over to my Patreon, Enda Scahill Banjo.